I happened to get on the restaurant scene where people say, "Oh, no, you can go in these restaurants and you don't know what you're going to hear. It's some good music, you know." And I was into all of them. And well, the Villa Stratford was the longest. It was like 23 years or something like that, every Friday and Saturday. So, and it was bass, piano, bass, and vocal. And it made for a long life. It made for me to be able to stay home, and because I always had kids to take care of, but I was able to do that and still enjoy the music. And I enjoyed it because of the intimacy, the people that I would meet, who a lot of them still follow me today if I'm somewhere. And and when I would come in, I know there's this group of women that used to wait. They're not listening to the music tonight because they have to go somewhere, but they want to come in and see what I had on. It was just a scene that was I never expected, the length of time I never expected, but I was very fortunate with that. I worked in Manayunk, Conshohocken, Center City, worked for Bynum Brothers, 11th Street when they first opened theirs, for about 5 years, I guess. I got work because the bartenders, waiters, customers would recommend me to other places. Um, I never went out and asked for a job. I was telling them that I'd never been able to do that. So that's why I'm not working anywhere now, because nobody's around. It's no cause. No. But it I didn't have to. There's a way to do those things. Somebody, if I'm the singer, I just want to sing and talk to the people, and be somebody else should take care of that other stuff. But they never would pay you enough for you to pay somebody to do that for you. Now, lucky when my husband was living, because he could ask again and again. He'd pester somebody, but I could never do that. And sometimes you have to do it, because I don't like anybody tell me, "Okay, I'll call you back," and they don't. Call me back and tell you, "No, we're not interested." Okay, I can accept that. But don't just have me waiting, so I can't do that. Dave wasn't a lengthy thing. It was, um, on and off if he had a job, who he was calling to do the job with him. Or if I couldn't get somebody else who I was working with, and that's usually Gerald. And Dave would be one of the people that's on my list that I would call to see if he could do the work, because I know he knew the songs, and he's a good piano player. It was a nice little club. The people were nice. We were talking about the owner, because when it was over, he acted like he was trying to hold it. He would want to come up and give you the money. So I picked up the microphone and I said, "Give me my money." So Dave Paz will tell you about that now. If you was say,
I remember you doing that.
yes, Dave Paz would say, "Justine, give me my money." So we used to laugh, and then he'd come and hand me my money. Don't be sitting up there holding the money like you don't think we have to get paid. But I met a lot of people coming in, because you were in Center City. The places that you work, people are in there. They're looking for places to go, and they're walking around, and then oh, okay. And even though there was dinner downstairs, the jazz was upstairs. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, the owner was. Can you tell us a little bit about Bill Worthington?
Bill Worthington. I can't say anything too much about Bill. He liked me. I liked him. We were okay. I mean, his mother and his sister I met later on, and he had moved to California, and they told me, that he had some kind of illness. So they gave me his phone number, and I called him, and we talked, and we laughed about the times that we had at All That Jazz.
Gigs were you playing?
Well, when you get married, I got married 18. And so we moved. And we moved to Tioga. And then we moved to West Oak Lane. And then I moved on Cutler Street. I don't know what they call that section right now, but I lived on Cutler Street. That's around 66th Avenue, right off of Broad. And then my husband and I bought the place that I'm in now. He was a newspaper guy. He had a paper that called The Voice that was in the bars, and they paid to advertise in The Voice, but the paper was free to anybody who wanted to get it. And he was also an entrepreneur. He did golf tournaments, pro-am golf tournaments. He had got the liquor companies to sponsor jazz concerts. Just about every one that I ever did, he got them to sponsor, put the money up for it. So that was it. He was an entrepreneur. He had his hand in a lot of things.
Now, The Voice, was that kind of like a scoop paper?
Mm-hmm.
And how long did he manage that?
I think he was the first one to get. Voice was before the Scoop.
So he started that.
I think he did. It was about 4 different papers. I think his was the first. Then I can't think of the other names. Sonny Driver had the Scoop, I think. I did nothing. You knew I was going to say that, didn't you? Just like everything has been natural and easy for me. I just when I got, maybe if I'm not driving in a car, I might be humming a song or something like that, or trying to learn something. But so far as really, I didn't do any of that. So I'm a bad person for that, because it's like people always used to try to get me to give them lessons. And I felt like I wasn't qualified for that because I hadn't had them myself. So I would refer them to somebody else. So I have done nothing, Suzanne. I just open my mouth and say, "Please, Lord," and go ahead. Well, first of all, it's different because there are not as many venues. Okay, number one. And the music that has been replacing jazz will go in, as usual, for less money. So the owners of the places that are having music, they're going to use them because they don't have to pay them. They don't care if they sound good or not. They don't care if they draw a crowd. They just want to know what's coming out of their pocket. And as I said, when I was growing up, I could walk 3 blocks from my house, and there was a bar that had music, and it was always jazz. And then it came rock and roll, and blues. Blues was always there, though. But it pushed us back because there was something about jazz players and people who listened to jazz that sometimes it made me feel, this is just my own opinion, that they were on a different scale from the other kinds of music and musicians and stuff. And they would do it to you in subtle ways, Well, you never heard of so-and-so? Or you didn't know who that was? Or, instead of saying, "Oh, man, Sarah sound good, didn't she? You know Sarah? Yeah, and they tell you something about Sarah, tell you about her, so that you will want to investigate it yourself and find out something more about how this particular person sounded, or how. But I found that out even in my own family. So my sister had a lot of pictures in her basement, all jazz musicians and stuff. I said, "Oh, who is that?" She looked at me. She said, "You don't know?" Well, you should. But she didn't tell me who it was. So see, that was just kind of the feeling then. You have to be in that club, or else, you were kind of beneath whoever they were and whatever they were doing. If you didn't know these people. So, but if we don't tell our children, if we don't tell other people, and let them listen to it and give them, if they are not exposed to it, then they will not know it. So I think it's a lot of people who don't know it. My grandkids and stuff today, and my daughter knows because she couldn't help it.
Yeah.
But these other kids around here in my house, they don't know it and they don't want to listen to it. I liked Carmen McRae. I didn't listen to Ella much at that time, but later on, Ella and Billy came into my life. But at that time, they were not. They were not a part of a record I wanted to go buy or something like that. I love Nat King Cole, Johnny Hartman, who I opened for 3 different times. Who else? I liked a lot of the harmonizing groups too, like say the Mills Brothers or something like that. Those are the ones that are coming to my mind. When I'd have to, I don't have my car. I said I have to go to my car and get one, so I don't have my car. So I put it out because I was working at the Villa Stratford. And a customer was sitting down next to me at the bar. He said, "Justine, why don't you make any recordings?" I said, "I never really thought about it." I said, "Plus I don't have any money." He said, "Well, now how much would it cost?" I didn't have any idea how much it cost. I said, "I guess maybe about $4,000. He wrote me a check for $4,000. So it did cost a little more than that, but that was the basic thing. He just gave me a check, and we went and did that first CD. The second CD, some money that I had put aside from the first one, because we sold that one very well. We had to make some more on that one. And I said, I'd like to try and put something, because I probably won't get a chance again, on things that I like to sing. It might not be something that everybody knows, the songs. So I did it. And that did not sell that well.
Was that Tasty?
No, Tasty was the first one.
What, the second one was?
Many Moods of Miss Justine. And on that, and I think it's because I wasn't working a lot then, because the Villa had closed, and I wasn't out there to try to,
I love that CD. Now, so what songs did you choose for that? I think you did one for Gerald, didn't you?
I did, yeah, a tune that we did together. We were doing a concert, and I think the concert was at the Art Museum before they started having music there. So we were in the Van Pelt Auditorium, sold it out, and we did a song with just the 2 of us, and that's on that song. Then this last one, I think it's about 3 years ago, a guy that would come to see me a lot, and he had become a good friend. I was teasing him because he had gone to California to record somebody. I said, "Why don't you ever record me?" And I was teasing him, And when he came back, he said, "Okay, we're going in the studio, start getting your stuff together." And he took all out on that. Photographer coming, a party for this, taking this stuff because you don't have to be in the studio with your musicians anymore. He's going upstate Pittsburgh where he knew bands and stuff, and play it for them, and they writing out there. And then when I hear it, it's got the whole thing. I don't even know what's going to be on it. But that was the last one. It came out last year. And that's it. I remember him as just being very much to himself. He didn't. As I said, Odine Pope was a good friend of his. Because when Hassan died, I understand Odine paid for everything. So Odine was a very good friend of his. If you talk to Odine, he would be able to tell you about him very much. When I saw him at my house, he was at the piano. It's like he was dreaming. He was just playing it, and he played some fabulous. He played stuff that you hadn't heard before. You listened to, wow, and it was just there. It was just there. Music was just in him. Oh yeah, they liked what he was doing. And some of them said, I know somebody said, "How can your mother stand that stuff?" My sister said, "Because my mother just likes music and she knows that he likes to play that piano, so just leave him alone." And he played. Well, McCoy's married to my sister, my youngest sister. And my older sister was married to a bass player by the name of Steve Davis. They all played with John Coltrane. And I've known him since, he was about 16, I guess. They are still married. McCoy is also kind of quiet fella. He doesn't do a lot of interviewing or stuff like that. But when he's laughing and you're acting silly, he's as silly as the rest of us. His mother lived in West Philly, and she was a beautician. And he would practice, I think it was outside of the shop, because I never went there. But he was one who stayed, practice, just like Train was the same way, all the time, practice. So, but he always remembers our house being the house of, should I say, joy, because we were always dancing and laughing and singing, and he remembers that when he talks about our growing up. That's something he always refers to. When he would come, he lived in West Philly, we lived in North Philly. When he came to North Philly, that's when all the fun began. Because we were a bunch of crazy people in my house. So, but,
How do you meet your sister?
I don't know. I think it was when he came over the house for a jam session. She was always in there looking at the guys. And she's my younger sister. So she was not a singer. My older sister and I were the ones who sang. My younger sister, whose name is Aisha, she danced. But we all had to do something, in the arts, poetry, write books, something. So,
Why was your mother like that? Why did she encourage all that?
because she thought it was important. I mean, even when we were young teenagers, we used to cut out the free coupons to go to Robin Hood Dell to hear the classical music, because she thought that we should be exposed to all kinds of music. And that's important today. That's helped me a lot. When I was singing in these places, the country clubs and all that kind of stuff, and they want to hear so and so, something that I may have never chosen to sing, but I knew it. So that was important. She thought that we should, and also with the poetry, like when in the Harlem Renaissance poet with Langston Hughes and all that, we had to know something about that, and because she loved it, and she wanted us to. She taught me how to do the Charleston and all those things, and I know some guy said to my sister one day, "How you know all those old songs? You must be older than you say you are." She said, "No, my mother was singing and playing the piano all the time, and we learned the songs. Even if we weren't singing, you learned it because you heard it all the time."